Hey guys, this is the quick tip of the day. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create a project and we're going to add a little background color to that using the UIColor color with pattern. And so first go ahead and select, you can choose any of your basic templates for your project. I'm going to go ahead and select the single view application. Go ahead and click next, and we are going to simply call this background toot. And these two fields don't really matter. You can put them as you like. And for the device, I'm going to go ahead and select the iPhone. You could do universal iPad, and this will work the same. Make sure your use Storyboard and your automatic reference counting is selected, and go ahead and proceed forward where you're going to save your files and your project here. Now once your basic template is put into place and you've got your Xcode and all your files over to the left here, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go into the main Storyboard. And you should have some type of view controller on screen, and go ahead and select it. And what we want to do is we want to see what class is associated to this view controller. So in this case we only have one class and one view, and so we've got view controllers. So now that we know which class is associated here, we're going to put a background on this class. And this is going to be kind of fundamental, but you'll see that you can take this and you can put it with let's say you had another view controller on screen and you wanted a differing background on it. You could take the same concept and apply it to several different views and view controllers. So now the next thing that we're going to do is, now that we know the view controller class is associated to this view controller, we're going to go over to the viewController.m. Alright, and within there you'll have some boilerplate information that's been developed within this class, and the area that we're going to work within is this view.did_load. So we're going to give ourselves a little bit of room. We're going to write some code here. But first what I want to do is I want to go over to the Apple tips for creating resizable images, and this has become kind of a more important thing in this day and age where we have multiple devices, whether it's a tablet, mini iPad, iPhone 4, iPhone 5, and creating one image is actually quite, I would say it's quite cumbersome. But if you follow some of the guidelines on the iOS developer library and how they recommend doing this, you'll definitely save yourself a world of hurt if you follow these guidelines over trying to figure it out yourself. So as you see, kind of the last paragraph here, it says a general rule of thumb: you should supply the smallest image, excluding end caps, which is a whole nother thing that will result in the look you want. And so basically what they're saying is we're going to create a 1x1 pixel image if we just want a solid color on our background of our application. Now if you go down a little bit further, it says if you want a vertical gradient, you gotta have a 1 pixel wide, and then the height that matches the height of the UI element. So in this case, so the background would be the height of the device in that case. And then it goes on to say if you want to provide a repeating texture appearance, you can create an image with the dimensions, the mask dimensions, the repeating portion of the texture. Alright, so we're going to skip all this. I want you guys to understand that you can go here to the iOS developer library and kind of understand the best practices for developing your apps. And so what I want to show you now is we're going to go find some patterns, because basically we're going to have a pattern put in the background of our view controller. And so I always go to a site called Creatica, and they've got a freebie section which you can go to patterns and PSD files, icons, so on and so forth. I'm in the patterns now, and I'm just going to scroll down and select, let's say, the 10 light seamless patterns here. And what we could do is download this. I'm just going to take a quick screenshot of a few of these. So I'm going to grab a little bit of a section there, and maybe I'll grab this guy here and this guy here. Alright, so I've got some screenshots, basically images that I'm going to implement within our application now. And so we're going to switch back to Xcode, and I'm actually going to grab those images and put them on my desktop here so you guys can see what they look like. Alright, so I've got these 3 different patterns on my desktop here. I'm going to actually drag them into our application project files. Make sure that you've got the copy items in the destination group folder, as well as add to target there selected. Go ahead and click finish. You'll see they're pre-populated over here into our project files. So now we go back into the viewController.m, and we're going to simply write a line of code. In this line of code, you'll see that basically we can duplicate this within a view controller that we've set up. So we're going to simply type self.view.backgroundColor, and then we're going to set this equal to, and in this case we're going to say UIColor, color with pattern. And now if you scroll down and go ahead and select this, we will continue forward here, and I'll explain it as we get to the end here. And now the pattern that we want to develop is basically going to be a UIImage, and that's what we pulled into our files there. And we're going to write out UIImage named, and then in this case we're going to actually tell the computer or the compiler where to find this image. And so, let me spell that right. So basically we are coming to the end here. So we're saying we want to pull this 1-1 image and the image named there, and we want to set it as a pattern image to our background color. Alright, so now go ahead and run your application, and now as you remember, right, the image that we actually imported was no larger than I would say a 1x1 square. But here, since we use the method colorWithPatternImage, basically it takes that image and it duplicates it across the display until it actually ends, until there's no more space. So I'm going to show you two other patterns just so you guys can see. We're going to switch over to the 1.2, which is this file here. You'll see we've got a completely different pattern there. Go ahead and run that and you'll see the application starting up. And so now we have a completely different pattern on the background there. We can do the same thing with 1.3 to show you that. Alright, and again we have another application, or we have another background with that UIImage of 1.3. So it's basically taking that, duplicating it across the way. Now these are basically patterns. Now we can also do the same thing with taking solid colors. So we could actually grab, let's say an image this big, and it only has to be a 1x1 pixel image because of the standards there. Okay, so now we can take the solid color, which I basically just took this gray here and labeled it 1.4. We can drag it into our project, and again make sure those options are selected. Click finish, and we're going to go back to the view controller and change this to a 1.1-4. So this is basically going to be a solid color that's going to pattern across our application here. So as you run that, you'll see now we have a solid color similar to your regular view controller of just your white, but this is going to be an off gray in this case. So that is kind of how to customize your application. As you can see, there's lots of different potential with patterns, with different images to make your application stick out in the marketplace and definitely make it look a lot better. So we'll catch you guys in the next quick tip. See you later.